Hello and stuff. Do you just looking at the camera, my face is kind of. Do you ever have one of those days where like your body like wakes up and goes and does stuff, and then like the rest of you, like your mind, the part that's not foggy, just forgot to go along with you? Having one of those days, but luckily we're doing really nice stretchy stuff today, so that is perfect timing for me. Today, just doing some like leg stretches. We've done quite a bit of strength stuff in there, like those quick and dirty ones are, uh, it's surprising how much strength we can build with just those little videos. I like to have blankies. You've probably heard my spiel, so I'm not going to do a spiel. Blankies are good. You might want to block it, but only just to like hold yourself up kind of thing, not doing any strength stuff today. Okay, so when you're ready, heading into your centering posture. So maybe that's Balasana, child's pose. Maybe it's something else if child's pose isn't accessible. Taking a moment, getting settled in, and just a couple deep breaths. On each exhale, see if you can soften, sink, and melt just a little bit more. And then taking a moment to set an intention for your practice. Maybe it's looking for more flexibility. Maybe it's the same intention you've had this whole challenge. Maybe it's something different. So many benefits to yoga. Just picking one of them and focusing on that for a few moments. From here, taking a few slow, deep breaths through the nose. Really expansive breaths this time. So big, big inhales. And full and complete exhales. And slowly, when you're ready, take a few deep breaths. Take your time. But when you feel ready, start to press yourself all the way up and back to a downward facing dog. We're only doing this one strength posture for this whole practice. So in your one and only downward facing dog, maybe walking it out a little bit. Feeling that nice stretch in the backs of the legs. Maybe shifting hips from side to side. Feels nice. Just a few little organic movements. And from here, lowering through hands and knees, send your right foot forward and we'll prepare for low lunge pose. So this is in yin called dragons. I don't like to use all my blankets in almost every pose. I like to have one under my back knee. You don't need to, but with the weight forward and both hands on the inside of the front foot, what we'll do first is inhale to lengthen the spine, and we might find that's too much of a stretch. If it is, come on up under the fingers or even onto a block. We're going as low as we can with a long neutral spine. If you can go lower, maybe that's a forearm or two onto the block. Try to have both forearms at the same level, the spine neutral in all areas, or maybe your arms can go all the way down to the floor wherever you're at, long neutral spine. And we'll just hang out there for a few moments, couple deep breaths. So as with all of our yin postures, all of our stretching postures, we're looking to find our edge, but not push past it. So if you're finding this is too much of a stretch, but I'll just go and bear it, you're too far. I am very prone to doing that, so I have to make absolute sure it's just a gentle stretch. One of the ways you can tell if you're in too far is notice your breathing. If you're hyperventilating, probably in too far. Or if you're holding your breath, probably you're in it too far. And just focusing on the breathing. That's one of the tricks to gaining flexibility faster. So I'm going to stop talking for a few moments here while you focus on your inhales and exhales. Try to make this boring if you can. Just breathing in, breathing out. It's our only task. And you're done. Slowly, slowly, slowly though. Try not to just pop out of it. Take your time, moving like you're 108 to whatever position you want to between sides. We'll take 5 or 10 seconds between sides. Maybe that's a downward dog if you like. If you're feeling ambitious, take a down dog, walk it out. Maybe it's a child's pose. Maybe it's just sort of hands and knees waiting for the next side. Maybe a couple of organic movements. That's been about 5 or 10 seconds. We'll head into the other side. If you've got a blanket, you may want to switch it over to the opposite side. And this time the left foot steps forward, setting up the exact same way, but keep in mind, one side might be more flexible than the other. So we'll inhale to lengthen. Exhale, lower. Maybe that means raise up a little bit. So find your edge, not pushing past it. And finding stillness, looking for stillness. This is one part, an aspect of yin yoga that I have massive challenges with. It takes a lot of focused energy for me to be still. Maybe it's easier for you. That would be amazing. Either way, focusing on the breathing will help. Slowing it down. See if you can even notice the muscle lengthening. I can feel almost like all the little fibers lengthening with every, usually I feel that on the exhale. See if you can tune in enough to feel the muscle lengthening and softening. And you're done. Slowly, slowly start to come out to either a downward facing dog, maybe it's a child's pose, some sort of position to rest in for 5 to 10 seconds. Just a little bit of time to let the body not stretch. Let it relax and rest. I love doing this with conditioning and with stretching. We do the big stretch and then we rest. The big stretch, then we rest. It lets your body know this isn't that hard. We can do this. This is okay. I only feel half awake right now, and this feels good. It feels nice. This is doable. It's manageable. One little stretch at a time. And by the end of this challenge, we will have accomplished so much by just doing one little exercise at a time. Next up is our high flying dragons. I'm not leaving you, don't worry. One thing that you may wish to have two, if you have 2 blocks. I sometimes use 2 blocks, sometimes I don't. How I like to set this one up is we have our right foot forward in the exact same position as we did before, but you use the blocks to help you be lazy because we can, and so why not? Oh, what did we do the other day? I feel my legs. I bet it was that darn boat pose one. Okay, it's fine. Here we go. We can't see my back leg, but it's there. It's still there. And so the blocks are to help lift up tall. Otherwise, we're kind of here, right? Or trying to balance. Maybe if you have a couch or something, you can lean against that or an elbow to the knee. Either way, here we are. Breathing deep. The things that we're looking for with alignment here, with our yin stretching, we're not overly focused on alignment like we are a regular hatha yoga practice. This is more like a conditioning kind of a class, but little bit aiming for, I can feel my back is arching quite a little bit right now, but I do think that's because I'm feeling a little tight in here. As long as you're feeling a stretch in here, that's okay. For a hatha yoga practice, we want to scoop the belly in, tuck the tailbone under, all those things, but we're stretching right now. So I could do that, but it would lift me up and out of the pose. Instead, I want to sink and melt so that I feel the front side of my back leg hip. Does that make sense? So left hip flexor, feeling the stretch. The only thing I don't want to do is kind of cheat too much. Everything is square, and then just let the stretch. Another thing too, with all of our conditioning that we're doing in this challenge, the whole first quarter of this challenge is getting our body ready for a more challenging challenge. What I've always really done in the past, whether I've been teaching it or taking it, is the challenges are not, I don't want to say too challenging, but if you jump in right away without preparing your body, I find, maybe that works if you're 18. It might work great. I know for me now, I definitely need to ramp up slowly. And I think if I was to go back, I have that choice, Carl, I want to be 18. Okay, sure. Right? So what I would do then is I would still approach it this way. Because what you're doing is you're building trust with your body. I think I talked about this before. It sounds hooey and hippy-dippy, but it's really not. Your body will try to protect and guard against things subconsciously that you're like, why am I guarding there? Or you might think, why is my back aching? Oh, it's because I hurt my leg and I'm guarding. But you're not consciously thinking about it. So building that trust is actually really helpful. And we're done. So slowly, especially with big stretches, moving slowly to your in-between pose. Whatever that is, downward dog, or maybe it's child's pose. Just take a second between sides. Not for too long. We'll get set up for the other side. Left foot steps forward. I'll get our timer going pretty quick here. So let's get set up. If you need extra time to get in, that's okay. If you're in that pose for 100 seconds instead of 120, it's okay. The thing that I'm trying to teach myself, and hopefully all of you as well, is that the focus ought to be on what we do well, the good that we do, how we just show up. And we'll build upon that. So many of us think, oh, I didn't do yoga yesterday, or we feel bad about ourselves, and there's no real need to. Like, I think it's important to really acknowledge the wins. So if it takes a couple extra seconds to get in that pose, or if you need a little rest, it's okay. You're here, and that's what's really important. So again, not worry too much about, we do want to be square, but then sink. So again, like my back is kind of arching. That's just because I don't have enough flexibility for my hip flexor to it takes strength to do that. So just let it stretch. If you're feeling a stretch, it's fine. I'm going to stop talking and let you relax. I know I said I was going to stop talking. That's a big ask for Carla. Just wanted to point out, I'm noticing on my camera, my angle here, the knee is beyond the ankle. A lot of times we're taught never ever do that. This is the one exception, and I won't get into it too much. We talk about it in yoga teacher training, but it's because the femur is at an acute angle to the lower leg. Basically, my femur is lower than my knee, so there's no pressure on the patellar tendon, which is the thing that we are concerned about when we say don't put the knee beyond the ankle. So we're safe in this one. Last few moments. And slowly heading into your in-between posture. Taking a moment when you're ready, not rushing those in-between moments or those pauses, but if you do want to strap, we'll be preparing for gecko. It's just like a stretch. I call it gecko because I don't know. I just do because reasons. If you know what I'm talking about and gecko is just not available to you, feel free to, it's a quad stretch. If you need to, just lie down and do this variation, okay? If you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, then I'll show you what we do, or if you know what it is and you know it's okay for you. It starts in the same position, right foot forward. Now, this is like a terrible angle for you to see. How I like to get into this one is I lean onto the opposite hand, pop the back toes off the floor, and see if I can find my toes. If I can't find my toes, I might find my strap. If you have some sort of strap or belt to lasso that foot. If you're using a strap, be aware that your arm is stronger than your leg is flexible, so be careful. If you can't quite find with the opposite hand, try it using the same hand, okay? Trying not to get a cramp in that back hamstrings muscles, the back of the leg. If it's a bit of a challenge to get the foot, what I like to do is flex the foot, try to find it with the hand. If I miss, let it go. When we get that cramp is when we pull the foot towards us, you can tend to cramp. So there's your options. We're not in this one as long, so we're aiming to, you can be in whatever kind of position, that starting position I did there. If you're a little bit more flexible, you might want to square everything up and then use the same hand and then draw the foot towards the hip. Either way, just feel a stretch in the front of your leg. This one isn't an actual yoga pose. It's a modification of a really challenging posture called pigeon. And the pigeon that we usually do in yoga is also a modification of pigeon, which is a very bendy, crazy, advanced yoga posture. Slowly release, finding your in-between pose, taking all the time you need. And then when you're ready, other side, left foot stepping forward. Sometimes it's easier to reach all of your weight forward, which is why I like to place my hand on the floor, and then find those toes. However that works for you. Holding and breathing. slowly, slowly release. Finding your in-between posture. Taking your time. When we get set up again, we'll head into a seated position, Hanumanasana staff pose. Preparing for Janu Shirshasana, which is a forward fold. What we want to do is with the left leg, bending it in as in tree pose. And then, if you're wimpy like me, you might want a little blanket beneath your heel because it just makes it cushier. And I'll start our timer. We'll inhale to lengthen, exhale, reaching forward. If you are more flexible, you can switch this leg up to hero pose, in which case I like to have a blanket. So you're kind of getting rid of this leg altogether, and that can allow you to bend further. There's no like shame or pride wherever you're at. It's just a leg. It's fine, right? So remembering to not think of progress as how flexible you are, how strong you are. The progress is how much are you showing up. That's what really matters in life. How much are you taking care of this miraculous body that is yours, right? Slowing down the breathing. If you're feeling a stretch, you're doing it right. Trying to keep the spine nice and low, but also relax. So not as rigid as we do in our hatha yoga practice, but rather relaxed a little bit. You may even want to block to be lazier because you can, like to support your forehead. Because when I say keep your spine long, I don't mean like put actually any effort. So you can keep it long by supporting your spine, right? As opposed to like curving and rounding more. So use your props to help you relax. And then slowly, slowly, come on up. Taking your time. Sometimes we think that even though, like because we're coming out of the posture, it's okay to quickly come out. But when you're finding like your max, your edge, it is actually really important to slowly back out so that your muscle can have time to recoil. Does that make sense? So take your time, take your time, take your time. And then preparing for the other side. So left leg moves forward. Either bring your right leg as in tree pose or in hero. Same thing again. Here we go. One leg might be more flexible than the other. If that's the case, not to worry. Just trying to find that same stretch. It might look different on one side than the other. Things even out over time. See if you can tune into your breathing once again, just like in the beginning of class today. Make it boring. It's just a stretch. Keep it simple. Slow, deep inhales. Full and complete exhales. Lengthening the spine just a little, nice and slow, 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 slow. Coming all the way back up and into your in-between pose. And then preparing for Shavasana. Already, we're all done. So finding whatever you need to feel cozy. Maybe that's your blanket. Maybe that's a bolster beneath the knees. Whatever you need. Gathering it now. And start to lay all the way back. If your back needs a little bit of extra support today, as always, feel free to keep those knees bent with the feet on the floor. Otherwise, extending the legs and the arms and closing the eyes. Softening everything, everything. But especially through the neck and the shoulders. And all the way down the arms. Letting the fingers softly curl. Softening the face. Softening around the eyes. And even the muscle between the eyes. Just letting it all go. And if you'd like to stay a little longer, feel free to do so. Otherwise, wiggling the fingers and the toes, and gently roll your head from side to side. And reaching your arms above head on the floor, give yourself a big stretch, feeling totally refreshed. And bending your knees one at a time. Gently roll over to the right side. Take a moment there. Let your body slowly come back. And slowly start to press yourself all the way up to a comfortable seated position, taking all the time you need. But when you arrive, palms facing up on the knees, inhale, sitting up tall. Exhale, softly close the eyes. Taking those final moments to thank yourself for showing up to your practice today, for taking care of you, and another quiet thought for someone else who might need that today. A little extra support and love. And slowly open the eyes. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. Namaste.